first started BG Sports, I didn't know like what direction I was going to take, whether I was going to do a podcast or what I wanted to do, because I had a lot of ideas. But I always kind of wanted this type of vlog type, to make this kind of vlog, and even just for myself, if nobody watches it, I'll have it to look back at. And I think that's one of the best things that I've ever done in my life, and I get that from my mother, is I document so much, because I always think like I want to remember this memory, and because I've done that so much, I am loaded with so much content from years and years and years before people were collecting content like now. One thing about Youngstown is that it's dark always. I think that's a lot of places in Ohio. I always think about when I used to live in Florida, and the biggest difference I say is the sun. The sun never shines in Ohio. It's mostly always overcast, which, you know, sets the scene for a good mob movie, but other than that, it's depressing. So I think Crooked City and everything has a lot to do with like location, you know. The steel town, it was the perfect setting for the mob to be able to take so much control. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Everything makes sense, and that's what's so fascinating about Crooked City, is that you could just understand, for me especially, living here and, you know, having family members and relatives in this area, that these stories impacted in some way, closely. So I can contribute to the feelings of the middle class. I am a middle class. I don't even know how to do a class system, because I think it's all on, you know, where you're from. You know, how they say one man's trash is another man's treasure. You know, where you're from, maybe there might be a little bit more middle class than other people think. So I think that in that meaning, I was at least middle class growing up. My parents were both Puerto Rican, and they both came from immigrant parents. So their parents, my grandparents, were not born here in Youngstown. They came here for jobs in the steel mill, and that's what brought them to this area. So me coming from immigrants, you know, my grandma didn't even speak English. So yeah. So, and one thing that I regret is that, well, I guess I do regret that I don't know Spanish as well as I can or should. My parents didn't think it would be an advantage for me to know Spanish, because it wasn't an advantage for them to not know English. So, you know, their whole point of view, I think, was to make sure that we were westernized, you know. So as you can tell, I am definitely westernized, valley girlish, almost to the extreme. It's just kind of crazy.